Hello, y'all. I'm back again for another video. If my voice sounds a little different, I'm in asthma phase, y'all. I'm in asthma phase. So, um, speaking helps. Speaking helps the lungs and the pulmonary system. And so, this is more about the comparison of the wicked and the church, y'all. The church. So, we're going to talk about the comparison of the wicked, the church. So, we'll begin here. And gave me this video idea is Daniel says, I don't go to church with him, or something to that effect. I don't go to church with him. And I explained this in other videos. Isaiah and I do go to church, but we do not go every Sunday. Okay. And it is because we are not able to. And for someone to go to church every Sunday or consistently every week, they would need to have the proper support system. And when I say proper support system, I'll start here. So Daniel doesn't do anything here. He doesn't do dishes. He doesn't clean. And as of right now, it's getting really bad to where he's repeatedly breaking the court order. Like, for example, this weekend, he was gone from about 10 something. Saturday evening, we didn't know where he went. We don't know what his double life is, right? He, as of right now, he's living a double life because Isaiah and I don't know what he's into, where he goes, or anything like that. So from Saturday at 10 something, and he actually lied about the location he said he was going to, because I went up there to check, and the workers there say he wasn't there since Friday. Okay. So, hello. Thanks for coming in. Please click a like. This is more of the comparison of the wicked. And I'm talking about the church. Okay. And I'm not going to be saying all positive things about the church and the people that go there. This is going to be a very realistic video about what really happens. So, as I said, I'll repeat it since there's people coming in. Please click a like, y'all. Daniel mentioned that I don't go to church with him. Okay, now, and actually, that's not true. Okay, I just don't go every Sunday. And it's because for support, right? So I'll begin here. Daniel doesn't do anything here. Sunday is a major day where you can get a lot done. Cleaning, paperwork, and stuff like that. Thank you so much for the like. So for families that are able to go every Sunday, okay, or whatever day that they pick. Some people go every Friday, some people go every Saturday, some people may go every Wednesday. There's different church days, not just Sunday. And I'm talking about for any religion. Okay. Whether it be Muslims, Christians, whatever the religion is, Buddhism, there's different days that people go. So Daniel is not a healthy support for me. Okay, he does nothing here. And now he's making it where he's not even at home. So there's a list of chores that I had for him to do. Simple things. We got a new refrigerator. Clean out the refrigerator. Load the dishwasher. He's not here to do any of that, right? So in all reality, I'm the type of person, I don't take on tasks and commitments that I'm not able to handle. So due to my lack of support in general, where I live, I also don't have a lot of family around. It's just Isaiah, Daniel, and myself. Okay. Right now, I'm in a no contact with Elijah. Elijah and I are not speaking. And Elijah, once he became of age, he was not a support system. So what happens with people like Daniel and other people, they want a certain outcome without providing the proper support. So it was pure. He comes back here. He shows up at the door 9:30 Sunday, which was yesterday, 9:30 p.m. Ends up walking off. He was out from Saturday about 10 p.m. to 9:30 Sunday, which is about a 24-hour period. Knocks on the door, walks off, and then comes back after midnight. So technically, the last time he was in this house was a little after 10 p.m. on Saturday. And he's doing this on a court order, right? A court order where he's not supposed to be doing this. And hold on. Rhonda Buford says hello. Hello to you as well. Hold on one second. Thank you so much for the like, y'all. So this is more about the comparison of the wicked and the church. So one of the things, okay, if someone has an abusive personality, oh, thank you, Rhonda Buford. Thank you so much for like, sharing, and subscribing. I appreciate that. So go through my lives. I do these lives on comparison of the wicked, Rhonda and everyone. And what began the idea was talking about the Gen X generation and how these new age kids act. And I compare it to how it was when I was a child and things in the past. So the comparison of the wicked, in nature, people are wicked, especially this new age generation. So I use Daniel as examples. He doesn't like that I do these videos, but it's that abusive strategy, right? I want to abuse you and you not tell nobody. Technically, if you want to be technical about it, the stuff that he's doing, I should actually be calling the police. Like, for example, this morning, he took one of my dolls. He took a doll that I bought, okay? There's a particular sister, she's an author now, and she sells books, and she has dolls with her books. So one of the dolls is in my living room. And so Daniel took it and he just gently pushed it to the ground. Not aggressively, not viciously, but the stuff he's doing, name calling, I think he threatened to shoot me up or something today. Some roundabout threat. However way he worded it. It was a threat of violence. He pushed my doll down. And this is my older teenager, and this is why I would not keep kids anymore. I don't even want them in my house. Because for one, they grow up, and if you don't have armed forces and a SWAT team in your house, and don't think having a man is going to fix the problem. Because these kids now will shoot you and your man in the face. Or your man got to kill them. It's not going to make the situation better, okay? So actually, having a man can escalate the situation. So more of the comparison of the wicked, the church. Daniel mentions, he was kind of laying down. He said, I don't go to church with him. I'm not abuse victim material, okay? So if someone's name calling, getting physical or whatever, I don't rise and shine Sunday and say, hey, let's go to church. It's not, and normal. Now, what I did do is I reported Daniel to a couple of people at the church. And they were males. One of them was Larry. Larry, he was giving Daniel rides for quite a while. And So, what do you mean by Jesus of the sky, Rhonda? What does that mean? Of the sky. Is that like a certain term? That is that something different than just regular Jesus? I know about Jesus, yes, if that's what you're asking. So, the answer to that would be yes. So, regarding the church, and see all of this, because it's impossible getting inside. What do you mean by that, Rhonda? Jesus don't fix your problems. You do. Jesus gives us all, and the Creator gives us all a chance for us to decide what we want to do. And that's why Daniel, he can show up to church every Sunday. He's not getting much from the message. So what I do, like I said, I don't have the support to go every Sunday. If I was to actually go to church every Sunday, I would need a greater support system. Okay. So Daniel would need to be a lot nicer, and Daniel would need to do more chores. There's only one of me, and there's only one of Isaiah. And Daniel does not provide enough support and assistance for our large 2,000 square foot home. For the only person that could kind of be available to do the chores and business affairs and make sure we bring money in, which is myself and Isaiah. Like I said, there's only three of us. Daniel doesn't do anything, especially when it comes to the house. Y'all, I got asthma. I'm sorry. So, like I said in the beginning, if my voice sounds a little different, I'm having asthma issues. So, I cut this fan on. Maybe I'll cut the fan off to make it better. Fans can backfire when you're in asthma mode. So, with that being said, with the church, church, especially Pastor Dan's church, Miss Jackie's church, they're places of peace. So it's a place that Isaiah and I will go. Periodically, Isaiah and I, we go to church about, if you do an average, we're at church about once every 6 weeks. Okay. Isaiah and I, our behavior, you would think we went every Sunday, right? When Isaiah goes, some of Isaiah's issues, because Pastor Dan's services are so influential and so great, because Pastor Dan, he's about love, right? That's what he's preaching about, the love of Jesus and stuff like that. So I can tell when me and Isaiah go, or Isaiah and I go, that there's an effect that we have that's very good. Now, Daniel's a church hypocrite. So Daniel goes to church more regularly, but he does not live a holy life when he leaves church. Such things as drug abuse, disobedience, disrespect, violation of boundaries. And I could never go to church every Sunday because the church is not the true support and is not supportive enough. Okay. And when I say this, I mean this, like I'll be unintentionally testing. Like, for example, when I reported to Larry, this was like over a year ago, when I reported to Larry that Daniel was name calling and being very abusive. Larry doesn't say anything to Daniel, right? So, and there's a racial divide. So Larry has a white mother and his wife is white. And so people don't advocate for Black women enough. Okay. We're not helped enough. So I'm Black. Daniel's Black. He just don't say nothing to him. And that may be the way he wants to deal with his life for safety. Now, Larry did eventually stop giving Daniel rides. Because what people will do, whether Daniel realizes it or not, is that when I report that this person is name calling and they're abusive, now Larry is aware of the information. Okay. Larry even has a police officer son. So Larry is now aware of the situation. And so Larry can notice things even when he has Daniel in his vehicle. It could be something as simple as Daniel's aura. And this is one of the things that no matter the facade, when Daniel's at the church and I go to the church, the atmosphere of the church changes, y'all. I'm not lying. I'm not lying, and I'm not holding a grudge on this. When you have a very demonic aura and a fake spirit and an abusive spirit in the church, I can feel it and others can feel it. Some people may go there and be like, I felt funny this Sunday. But they won't pinpoint it to Daniel because it's so many people at the church. They won't know it's because this one person is going. Now, when I enter the church with Isaiah, I don't feel the negative aura. For example, I'm going to give you a pure example of how I know this for sure. When Daniel was incarcerated, Isaiah and I went to church together. And I think we feel more comfortable going when Daniel's not there. When Daniel was incarcerated, Isaiah and I was going up to twice a month instead of once every 6 weeks. Daniel is a major disruption and distraction and a very, Daniel's a wicked spirit to have in the house. I don't care whose son he is. It's just his nature because he hasn't decided to make a change, right? So he brings up this church thing. We don't go to church. Now, I'm going to explain to you first how he treats us when we do show up. He acts ashamed of us. And that's all projecting because he should be ashamed of himself. He even told me one time, don't come to church. So this is somebody that goes to church regularly, but tells people not to come. And like I tell him, it's not his church. It's Pastor Dan's church. And I can show up there as long as Pastor Dan says it's okay. So this is one of the things that Daniel will do. So when you report family members to church people, there's no disciplinary tactics in force. When I reported Daniel to Larry, we was right over at a restaurant, and he was dropping Daniel off, and I reported him. And Larry didn't say, man, don't talk to your mother like that. These church people, they're not doing the honor thy mother thing and honor thy father. And you got to remember, there's a substandard. There's racism involved as well. Larry's a light-complected black male. He looks pretty much like a black male, but he has a biological white mother. Okay, so he believed in honor the white woman. That's just how I felt about it. You know, there was no treat your mother right, man. There was no disciplinary or mentoring of Daniel, and he was giving Daniel a ride every single week. Okay. So stuff like that will not make you want to go to the church every week. So, and I understand Daniel's close to Pastor Dan and stuff. So I don't talk about him too bad to Pastor Dan, but Thule and Jessica and Larry is aware of his behavior. Now, ultimately, um, they treat him accordingly. You know, people have different ways of reacting to stuff. They know Daniel's abusive towards me. So when Daniel was incarcerated, none of them checked on him. So, with that being said, don't think that people necessarily support your abuser. They may be more nonverbal, but handling it in a different way. Okay. And in this situation, I'm not considering myself an abuse victim. Okay. I'm not portraying an abuse victim. I'm portraying abusive behavior that someone that goes to the church has. I'm very careful with considering myself an abuse victim to Daniel because, for one, I'm his mother. Okay. Two, he ain't laying hands on me. Three, I could get rid of the problem within 24 hours if I wanted to through getting a court order and just not letting him back in my residence. I don't have to let him back in here. Okay. But I'm trying to do my best to uphold my portion of the court order. Okay. And I apologize, y'all, if my voice is a little funny. That's my asthma. So, with the comparison of the wicked with the church, this will be why a lot of abuse will occur. So, number one, if anyone is habitually or consistently name calling, fighting you, or hitting you, you don't need to be going to the church with them. You need to be going to the police station. Now, Daniel, he's complaining and he doesn't like, he wants me not to do the videos. But I said, why don't you stop your behavior, man? And I also want to point this out. Before I started uploading these videos about Daniel, Daniel's been being disrespectful and really bad to his family for consistently for 4 years now. So keep that in mind. By the time I do a video about you, the person has already done it for an extended period of time. I give people chances. So Larry and Thule, they ended up eventually stopped giving Daniel rides as often. For one, Larry, I don't think Larry had the time to keep doing it because Larry has he's the sole provider, as far as I know, of his household. And Larry wasn't able to keep it going because I think he was getting off work later and stuff like that. And so Larry just didn't have time to do it. Okay. Larry's wife, she looks very miserable. There's a misery upon her that will make you know for sure that not everyone in that church is happy. I don't know if Larry's wife is feeling some kind of physical pain. She reminds me of someone that has like aches in her body and stuff, because that's one of the things. If you have ongoing physical pain, you could definitely feel very sick and look sad. It's like unbearable, right? And not everybody that's in physical pain will keep doping themselves up. Um, However, comparison of the wicked, I didn't like the way Larry's wife treated me when Daniel and I went to their home. Um, Larry's wife, she's a white woman. She singled me out. Um, from my perspective, she's doing what you call feeding you ugly. I did lives about that where I talk about what feeding you ugly is. And Cynthia's spirit, she had a mixed spirit, right? Kind of like how Daniel does. Their spirit is, you can see the good, but you see this very toxic side. One of the things Cynthia did when I went to her house, you know how Malcolm X would say they treat you like a pedigree dog. So she was very interactive with people that was like the youth teachers and leaders. And she ignored me for up to an hour and wanted to know if I wanted more to eat. And I said, no, thank you. I've had enough. And it wasn't that great. Okay. She was feeding everybody dry hamburgers and stuff like that. And so offering food to people, and your food ain't that good. So also there was a Rottweiler that they had, was not on a leash. And the Rottweiler definitely treated me better than Daniel does. That's for sure. So I became more compassionate towards some animals because I have to remember this. You know, I know we hear the stories about people mauled to death, but that Rottweiler, he smelled me, put his head on my lap and smelled me. I don't know what they smelling for, but the Rottweiler was okay with the smell and, you know, did his nicey face and left. Okay. So whatever that means, I don't know what they smelling for or what they, I'm glad that's why I shower. Okay. And bathe. So, and I do believe Larry has the dog under control. Larry's probably armed. Larry had a big yard for the dog. He got, acres and acres of land. So if there's anybody that I would trust having their Rottweiler run around, it would be Larry. He's a true man. He's from Missouri. He's from Missouri. Okay. He has a beautiful family. His wife is white. Come to find out, Larry's biracial. And he has a white mother and a black father. He's originally from Missouri, where I'm from, but he don't come from a black lady. So that's all I got to say on that. So it's okay. It's okay to preference what your mother is. If you was born from a white woman, and I'm talking about blonde hair, blue eyes, and your preference and priority is white women, that's okay. Because that's what he's born from. A white woman carried him in her womb. So it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I just understand the dynamics of it. Okay. And I understand biasness, differences. Ultimately, Larry stopped picking Daniel up. One of the things that Larry's wife did, she would not address me by my name. Okay. Our ancestors and black people in general, we go through enough with dealing with white people in the business world and at work. That's one of the passive aggressive things that white people will do as part of their discrimination to belittle you is they will not address you by your name. So Cynthia, she began texting me and she won't say hello, Irene. And she did it at her house too. But Cynthia stays in the church. She's a every Sunday goer. She won't miss a Sunday. Going to church every Sunday doesn't necessarily teach you etiquette. It doesn't. You learn etiquette from your soul, and it comes from inherently who you are. And Cynthia, she wanted to hang out with me. but she won't address me by my name. She was treating me like a pet dog at her house. I had already reported how Daniel was abusive. I reported it to Larry. However, I could be reporting that Daniel acts abusive, my own son, to another abuser. That might be the reason Cynthia act kind of weird. Because like I said, she looked pretty miserable in church. She's one of the most miserable looking wives that you could see sitting in that church. And I mean miserable. To where when I go, I sat near Larry and Cynthia one time. And I made sure the next time I went, I was way on the other side of the church. I cannot be at church with that demonic, miserable aura near me like that. And like I said, I suspect maybe this is the thing with Cynthia. She's either being abused by Larry, okay, her husband. That's why Larry didn't say anything to Daniel about name calling and being abusive to me. Or she's in a lot of physical pain. Or she don't really believe in the Lord and she's faking it. 4, she's wicked, for real. She's actually a wicked person. And nothing you can tell her about the Lord will make her not be that way. 5, she could just literally not want to be married anymore. And that's causing her to be very wicked as well. But ultimately, Larry did stop picking Daniel up from my residence. I had mentioned to Larry one time to not park in that fire zone when he picks Daniel up. I noticed after that, he kind of backed off. You know, with abusers and misogynists, they don't like ladies to tell them anything. Okay, so if Larry is a misogynist or an abuser, just telling him the proper place to park, which I have a driveway, y'all. You shouldn't be parking in the fire zone when I have a garage with a driveway in front of it. You shouldn't be in the fire zone. Okay, it's a violation of my agreement. Okay, so, but ultimately there's many reasons. Like I said, I just don't think Larry had the time to commit to continue to pick Daniel up. And just because somebody pick you up and take you to church don't mean they're gonna do it forever. It's something that they'll do for a specific period of time, but it's not something that, don't expect someone that's picking you up every week to do it forever. I mean, they may want, Daniel's of age where he can get a car. So he may be like, when I was a teenager and brother such and such picked me up for 2 or 3 months, Larry probably got his license and got a vehicle. But Daniel can't do that because, to be quite frank, calling me out of my name, being abusive, it's not a skill that gets you a driver's license and gets you a vehicle. So Larry probably thinks like that because Larry's probably such a dominant male and he's been financially successful. He owns his house. He has a big piece of land. He got acres and acres of land. He has a lot of children, a wife, and a Rottweiler. So I know that his plan and agenda is not to pick Daniel up from my house for the rest of his life and take Daniel to church, especially when I reported to Larry that Daniel is abusive. So, abusers, whether they're in church or not, this is more of the comparison of the wicked talking about the church. You got to treat them the same as other people. So you can't not report them because they go to church. That's not logical. You have to report like I'm reporting it here. You must tell someone. I'm not calling the police. As of now, I've already told Daniel, don't try to fight me though. That's where it's going to go all wrong. Don't try to fight me because you will be back in jail. So, with the church thing, I'll give you another example. Kaylin and Elijah. That was one of the ways they tried to ensnare me and pull me back in. And this was within 2 to 4 months of Kaylin's baby passing away. So Kaylin's baby passed away at the end of February of this year, and this is Elijah's sociopathic girlfriend. They have stopped contacting me, Kaylin and Elijah, and I'm wanting to start a series or some episodes on how it got to this point. It took several years. It took me sticking to my rules and consistency, but Kaylin and Elijah, they don't contact me at all anymore. I'm not a supply source for them. Ultimately, with all abusers, ultimately, the best position for anyone that's a victim of theirs, I don't care if the victim is another narcissist. Your abuser could be a narcissist, and so does the victim. I don't feel like a narcissist should be victimized in that way. It doesn't matter. Whoever the victim is, whatever their personality type, all victims have to eventually cut off supply. And that's your resources, how often you communicate, how often you're helping them and stuff. So one of the ways Kaylin and Elijah tried to pull me in is within 1 to 4 months of Kaylin's baby passing away. And it's from medical neglect. She kept her child from the hospital. If I'm having asthma attacks every day and my family members, I'm bedridden and they refuse to get me medical help, yes, it will show that I died of an asthma attack, but it's still medical neglect. From the medical examiner's perspective, the abusers get away with it because the person's not beat out. So the medical examiner would say, oh, well, Miss Irene died from an asthma attack. But in actuality, I was bedridden and my family members or my caregivers, I'll say my caregivers, say a nursing home did it. They refused to transport me to the hospital because you don't have to die from asthma. You don't. It's not something that you have to die from, okay? So Elijah and Kaylin, they asked me if they could go to church with me. I did not go to church with Kaylin and Elijah. You shouldn't be bringing your enemies to church with you. They don't belong at your church. Especially if you have a peaceful, drama-free church. They don't belong there at all. It was a manipulation tactic for Kaylin and Elijah to ultimately get in my house. Just because someone's asking to go to church with you doesn't mean they want to do right by you. You're also giving your enemies your location. And I just wasn't going to bring Elijah and Kaylin in the church because, for one, my priority, because Daniel still lives here and Isaiah still lives here, is to protect Isaiah and Daniel. Even though Daniel's pretty cruel to me, I'm still his protector, legally and physically. I'm his protector. You can still be someone's protector even though they're not yours. Legally, I'm Daniel's protector. Okay. So Elijah had threatened to throw Daniel off his balcony last year. And so this year, January, February, Elijah and Kaylin asked if they could come to my church. Um, so the answer is no. You shouldn't be bringing anyone to your church and they have threatened to throw someone off a balcony that lives in your residence. Because your priority is always to protect those that are in your residence. And you must keep in mind, Daniel's still an older teenager. He's on the last of his teens. So, and when Elijah threatened Daniel last year to throw Daniel off his balcony, Elijah said it with no soul and very nonchalant. So you must take threats serious. And you know, y'all wouldn't like it. If someone threatened to throw me off a balcony, would I want my mother bringing them to my church? That would be very uncomfortable. My mother was a church lady. So, and my grandmother never came to my mother's church. Never. They were enemies. My mother and my grandmother were enemies. I don't know if my mother ever formally invited my grandmother to her church, but they don't belong at your church. My grandmother, her presence, my grandmother was a narcissistic sociopath. She does not belong at my mother's church. For one, even if that is your mother, if they are a narcissistic sociopath, then they're your enemy. And a lot of times they don't believe in no higher power anyway. Okay. So my grandmother did not belong at my mother's church. The same way that Elijah and Kaylin doesn't belong at the church we attend. It's a violation of your privacy. So this is more of the comparison of the wicked about the church. You can be stalked at your church. They can keep coming there just because you allow them to come and make you so uncomfortable you have to leave your church. Now you got to go find another church because a narcissistic sociopath like Elijah's girlfriend Kaylin is now at your church. So I'm giving you suggestions and a guide on how to handle things. Isaiah and I, we don't go to church every Sunday, and we do much better than Daniel. Because this is the thing, when my son Isaiah and I go, we actually hear what Pastor Dan is saying. It's in our soul. It's in our aura to do right. The prayer app came up, y'all. Hold on. I wonder. So yeah, this is more of the comparison of the wicked about the church. So, if I treated someone the way Daniel treats me and Isaiah, I would know why I don't go to church. I would know why people didn't go to church with me, right? It's giving an abusive personality the wrong message. So, like today, I'll just give you some of the names he called me. Okay. And I'm a see if you would want to wake up the next day and go to church with him. So these are, and Daniel calls me these names in front of my son. Okay. So let me see some of the names he calls me. Okay, he called me the B word, Norbit's wife. Norbit was that 600-pound black lady, or that morbidly obese black lady on the movie. It was a movie. I'm only 100 and some pounds, y'all. I'm far from Norbit's wife. Okay, I'm still. I never made it to 200 pounds in my life, and I'm short. I'm still 100 and some pounds. I'm about Daniel's 100 and some pounds, but I'm about 40 to 50 pounds bigger than Daniel, and I'm about 30 pounds in more weight than Isaiah. Everyone in this household is 100 and something pounds. Okay. I'm the chubbiest, but I'm from Norbit's wife. So what Daniel did, he pushed my doll down in the living room. He pushed her on the floor. Then he called me Norbit's wife, called me a reptile, called me the B word. And he does this all in front of Isaiah. Now, what Isaiah does, Isaiah has mentioned that it bothers him when Daniel does this, okay? Now, the part that Daniel has improved on is when he does the name calling, he doesn't have the viciousness in his voice that he used to. So that's some improvement. So he'll do it kind of nonchalant. You know, he's not screaming it or yelling it. Daniel used to, when he would call names, he would yell it and scream it. He had more of a temperament with it. So that's calmed down because I do kind of lead by example. So I won't call as many names, but okay, you didn't push my doll down, call me Norbit's wife. So you're trying to call me ugly, y'all. Call me a reptile, call me the bitch word. So Isaiah and I had a talk, right? So Isaiah was like, one time, you know, Isaiah expressed his sadness. So I used to get kind of pissed off at Isaiah because when Daniel would do this, he would laugh. And I would say, that's not funny. But Isaiah expressed to me how sad that makes him and how angry on the inside that makes him. So I said, well, you know what, Isaiah? It's better to laugh. Just laugh it off then. I don't want you to get no charge, man. Because Isaiah expressed to me in private that he feels an extreme sadness when not just Daniel, when Elijah did it too. Daniel and Elijah, they don't humanize Isaiah and I. They treat us like we have no feelings and stuff like that. And there's quite a bit of family jealousy that goes on towards Isaiah and myself. I'm a Scorpio, Isaiah's an Aries, and we're go-getters. We get something done. And we're getting more done because Isaiah and I life don't consist of calling people Norbit wife, pushing their dolls down in their living room, calling people reptiles, the bitch word. Isaiah and I are not pathological abusers. So what this does is this opens up more time in Isaiah and I life to do productive things. Okay. So Isaiah, he laughed it off. But then when Isaiah laughed, when Daniel was calling, especially when he called me Norbit's wife, Isaiah said after he laughed, that's messed up, man. Isaiah did say that, but what I told Isaiah is this, and I told Isaiah this with Elijah as well. And what I'm able to do is come from my background, and I use my background very beneficial when it comes to incarceration. So I had a self-defense situation against an ex-spouse. He was a horrible, wicked, very mean, brutal guy to me, right? But one of the things I learned, um, my case was dismissed. It's considered self-defense. When you when you defend yourself and whoop the shit out of a motherfucker that's wicked and that keep just doing shit without a cause, it's self-defense. They can't keep hitting you and doing shit to you. It's not appropriate. But what I explained to Isaiah, and I think Betty Broderick deals with it. She's the lady that shot her ex-husband and his new wife. She was Dan Broderick 16 to 20 years, and Dan Broderick was a major asshole, right? I mean, all he had to do was speak to her. This somebody, you got 4 children by, man. But Dan Broderick, he was a famous attorney, bringing in up to $100,000 a month, y'all, way back in the day. And because he was so wicked in nature, he shouldn't be shot, though. Betty Broderick shouldn't have shot him and his new wife. And the reason she shouldn't have did it is because he would have got his karma anyway. The new wife would have left him. I think her name was Linda Coquino or something to that effect. The new wife would have left him, and he could have went bankrupt in his law firm. Betty Broderick shouldn't have shot her wicked husband and his new wife. Coquino or something like that. Linda Coquino. Linda was a younger lady, and she was dating Dan Broderick while he was still legally married. And she's the true victim. That young girl, she was only like 20 some years old when she got murdered. I don't even think she had reached 30 from what I remember. You could check the case if I'm wrong, but she was like 15, 16 years younger than Dan Broderick. Okay. And so the reason you don't harm these wicked people, especially when it's not true self-defense, and it's not self-defense when Betty Broderick steals her It's not true self-defense when Betty Broderick steals her ex-husband key out of their daughter's purse and takes the key and goes in the house, walks up the steps while they're sleeping and unalive them. That's not self-defense. Now, I do understand what led to it. Dan Broderick was a very self-centered, evil, wicked-natured person. And his behavior was very provoking. I do feel like in some sense he was going into a no contact, because I do feel like Dan Broderick had a fear of what she could do to him. But he made $100,000 a month. Dan Broderick was very cheap, and he didn't want to pay Betty Broderick. And she had 4 of his children and had gave her whole life to him, put him through college, and was the total housewife and business lady for their life for almost 2 decades. But Dan Broderick, he had no homage or respect for what she did and Betty Broderick's investment in him. So what I tell Isaiah, the reason we don't want to assault Daniel or hurt him unless it's true self-defense is because people like Daniel and my ex-husband and people like Dan Broderick, Betty Broderick husband, what happens in those cases, especially if you are a sweet person, you sit in jail and you are very pissed off. When you beat a wicked person ass or unalive them, it's very hard when you're sweet natured to feel remorse, because you know You know truly how wicked they were, and you know what they are. And you know in your soul that they provoked the result, whether they get killed, they get their ass beat. So, one of the things that I learned from being incarcerated one weekend of my life, never, if you can, beat a wicked person's ass, because you will be sitting in jail the whole weekend pissed off that you hurt this person. You are pissed off because you're like, I cannot believe I'm going down over this nigga. So I explained that to Isaiah, and I especially explained to Isaiah and anyone why not to harm a wicked person. The best thing to do is to be in a no contact and leave him alone. And one of the reasons you want to do that so you don't black out and hurt them. Like in my situation with my ex-husband, I blacked out. You want to leave wicked people alone because they'll make you snap. Now, since that time, I've done anger management, okay? So, a combination of a weekend in jail over the wicked. Now, if an empathic person, if I was to go, it's not my nature, but if I was to go hurt someone that's a good person, I would sit in jail and have complete remorse. But when you go to jail over someone that behaves like Daniel, pathological abusers, my ex-husband, you just pissed off that you in jail over them. There's no remorse that's truly gonna come, because in some sense they kind of deserve it because they're so violent. They just shouldn't be violent with people, right? It's the same way a lot of people feel about the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case. Austin Metcalf had a history of bullying, and he began the assault. He the one pushed Carmelo. A lot of people will feel like Austin Metcalf got what he had coming. If Austin Metcalf likes to put his hands on people in the United States, eventually somebody's going to kill him. And if Carmelo Anthony can't control his temper when he's around wicked guys like Austin Metcalf, then eventually Carmelo was going to go to prison or get killed as well. It can go either way. Austin Metcalf could have eventually been in prison. The white boy that got killed. I really wish it wouldn't have happened that way, but that's why a lot of people fight for Carmelo Anthony, because they feel like Austin Metcalf had it coming. He liked to put his hands on people. He liked to push on people. Austin Metcalf liked to take authority over people that he shouldn't be taking authority over. And I guess Charleston White, if it's true, reported that both those twin boys jumped their white father, Jeff Metcalf, and that's why Jeff's arm was broke. So if that's true, if that's really true, Jeff can stop the cap like he don't know why his son dead. A disobedient child will not live all their days. A year before Austin Metcalf got killed, if it is true that him and his twin brother Hunter beat their own Christian father down and broke his arm, that's karma that came. That's why he got killed a year later. Jeff Metcalf, he's supposed to be a Christian man, so he's supposed to believe in honor thy mother and father. So if his two white big old sons beat him down a year ago, If my two twin sons beat the shit out of me, I already know one of them or both of them eventually gonna get killed or seriously injured or locked up as well. The universe will not tolerate those kind of white boys. And then you got this angry Carmelo Anthony. His father's pretty soulless, y'all. I found this out too. His father admitted this on TikTok. Carmelo Anthony father, when he took him to the stadium, he already knew that there was problems. So, however way he knew, Carmelo Anthony father knew that he was taking his son to a hostile environment and still took his 17-year-old son there and didn't supervise him. Carmelo Anthony has a pretty wicked father. It's pretty wicked father to do that. A father is supposed to protect their son. So ways he could have protected him, and he the one that gave him the knife. I don't know where Carmelo Anthony got the knife from. Did his father give him that too? He's supposed to be sitting in prison with no money on his books, and his parents have collected over $500,000. And they went and bought a big mansion and all these fancy cars. And Carmelo Anthony sitting in there. His parents are trying to raise more money to put on his books and for him to have a new attorney. Oh, and then the father, Carmelo Anthony father, also said, Carmelo Anthony's father also said that black people told him to get a white lawyer for Carmelo. So other black people were saying, get a white lawyer to defend Carmelo, which I wouldn't have told him that. I don't know who told him that. When you kill a white person, you need a black lawyer, because a black lawyer is going to fight for you more. A white man is on the white boy side. So that's the worst thing you could do, is get a white lawyer when you kill a white boy. If you kill a white boy, you need to get a black lawyer. So I don't know what black people told him that, but I wouldn't have gave him that advice. I would have said, man, you need the most powerful black lawyer in the US, and you need a black lawyer if you're trying to get your child to not do any prison time or not go to prison at all. You need a black lawyer that doesn't like white people much and that will hold white people accountable. I mean, the white lawyer barely objected to anything. I watched a lot of crime cases. White lawyers are good. Now, a criminal defense lawyer that's white, they're excellent in getting you off if you kill a black person. So it's who you kill. If you kill a black person, you need a white lawyer to defend you. But if you kill a white person, you need a black lawyer to defend you. And specifically, not an Uncle Tom black lawyer. A black lawyer that when you meet with him, he say, what that hunky do? You need a black lawyer that just doesn't fucking favor white people and knows how to professionally present your case and not have no soul for the white person that you killed. That's what your black lawyer would do. Like the Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran. O.J. Simpson would be a perfect example. Did O.J. Simpson go get a white lawyer? No, he got a black one. Because the murder victims are white people. Your white lawyer is only good if you killed a black man or a black woman. Because the white person happy you did it. They want to get you off so you can go kill some more black people. The best thing to do is not to kill. And as a disclaimer, I'm not saying any of this is okay. What I'm saying is, when Carmelo Anthony's father was advised by other black people, he definitely didn't ask the right black people. He asked some ignorant ass black people what he should do. And it backfired on him. Carmelo Anthony got 35 years. But this is more of the comparison of the wicked going back to the church situation. So, and these boundaries work for me. So one of the things, I'll go back to the Elijah and Kaylin situation when they was trying to ensnare me and asking me if they could go to church with me. Now, September 2024, Kaylin said to me that she doesn't believe in the Lord. Okay. So I notated that. In 2022, Elijah came down my steps and said he doesn't believe in God or any higher power, basically. So basically, you must remember what people said to you. So Elijah and Kaylin, they don't belong at Pastor Dan's church. Now, if they got online and found Pastor Dan's church and they chose to go there and that's what they wanted to do, that's on them. But I'm not supposed to bring them there. And I'm not supposed to be waking up every Sunday marching in the church with Daniel side by side. That's not the way you treat abusers. Abusers will hurt you. One of the reasons I'm not actively assaulted or beat down or killed is because of my boundaries with abusers. See, if Daniel calls me these names, look, I wrote them down. Let me see. I wrote them down for this video purpose. So he pushed my doll down, called me Norbit's wife. That's that big black marbly obese lady in the movie. It was a movie. Norbit. Called me a reptile, called me the bitch word, all in front of Isaiah. It would be very unnatural. And it would show Daniel that I'm a little slow. If I got up on Sunday and said, hey, baby boy, let's go to church. Now, Daniel sees me at the church sometimes. Because like I said, Isaiah and I go. But I'm entering that church either by myself, because Isaiah's at work, or I'm entering with Isaiah. I'm not entering the church with Daniel. That's very irrational. See, this is the thing. You got to look at a person like this. When a person goes to church and they don't behave like a holy person, that is an unbeliever. Daniel does not believe in anybody's heavenly God. It's not a belief system that he has. That's why he can't say no to the dope man. See, all of this, why don't he call the dope man Norbit's wife? Because he know the dope man gonna blow his fucking brains out. He's calling me these names because I'm a good person and I don't do drugs. There's an envy because I'm not a drug addict. Drug addicts that are wicked in nature, and I explained to y'all in another live, most people that do drugs are wicked. That's why they do drugs and alcohol. If they wasn't so damn wicked, they wouldn't have to do it. It would be no need to do drugs and alcohol if they wasn't so freaking wicked. So Daniel pushed the doll down. Then he ended up needing to use a new backpack, okay? Which was a backpack I had just sitting out in the hallway. We had to dust it off. So he used that. The other backpack smells like beer and liquor and is ripped up. So he needed to use the new backpack. I always have backup backpacks sitting around. So I dusted the backpack off and kind of did a little wipe down of it. And so one of the things about me, I'll give you a little taste of your own medicine. So I just gently threw it on the ground to him, threw it on the floor. Here's your backpack. Because remember, he pushed my doll down, right? So Daniel says, well, that's an assault. You threw my backpack down. I said, but you assaulted me first. Because you took my doll in my living room and put her on the floor. Call the police and see what the police say. I'll tell the police that you pushed my doll down. He didn't do it aggressively or vicious. He just pushed her down gently. And that's how I threw his backpack on the floor. I didn't throw his backpack on the floor viciously. Daniel doesn't like when you do his behavior back at him. He doesn't like that. See, a wicked person, this is more of the comparison of the wicked. They really feel like they have some kind of right to do wicked acts to you, mean acts, evil acts. But if you do it back, they don't like it. Now, I would understand. So if I took your doll, and this doll I got from a book event, you know, this sister sells her books with her dolls. And he pushed the doll down because the sister's a good person. It was an attack against her. The sister's a good person. She survived all of what she'd been through, and she don't need no drugs. So, you know, pushing that doll down is an attack upon where I got it from too. Because name calling is not a gift or a skill. It's not, it's just it's a low payoff activity. So he pushes my doll down, and this happened this morning, y'all. This is how he's acting before he goes to school. He claims he went to church yesterday. For one, he didn't return home. He left here about 10 o'clock, 10 something Saturday evening, lied about where he was going, and then showed back up at my door at 9:30 p.m. Sunday, which was yesterday. So, you know, people normally go to church kind of together. So I didn't even know he was going. But like I said, I do not have the appropriate support system to be at church every Sunday. Because Daniel won't help with any of the house chores. He won't help with any of the house chores. He won't wash a dish. Isaiah and I went and got a flashlight yesterday because we have to go and do a thorough cleaning up under the sink where there was a prior leak at from years ago. So we have to do like a little cleanup of that. And Daniel doesn't help do anything. He doesn't do any maintenance stuff. He's not helping go through any items in the garage. He doesn't support me enough for me to be at the church every Sunday. I don't have the proper support. And this would be inclusive of transportation as well. For me to be at church every Sunday, the church needs to come give me a ride. I got to pay my rent. My rent's high. I can't be catching Ubers to church every week because that money needs to go towards my rent. Okay. So there's financial crises too. And there's no support there. Daniel, the only thing he know how to work is his mouth. He's not working and maintaining a job. He didn't help anything with the embezzlement that we're going through. Daniel didn't help anything with that. Isaiah showed up to the appointments with the lawyer. Isaiah was completely supportive, and Isaiah works almost full time outside the home. Daniel didn't do anything. So Daniel's asking and complaining about things that he's not investing in. Daniel doesn't invest in his family. calling me Norbit's wife and the B word, pushing my doll down. And the thing is, Daniel stays in the streets now. He won't let us know whose house he's going to, where he's hanging at. I told him to call before he comes here. One of the things I do, I don't like people just knocking on my door and I'm coming to the door. We had another situation within the same town that I live where a lady answered the door and someone blew her away. It happened to one of my sister's friends as well in St. Louis, Missouri. Christina answered the door and they just blew her away right there. People need to call before they come, not just randomly knock on your door. You don't know who at the door. So since Daniel is breaking this court order and he continues to run off, he just shows up here whenever he wants to. It's just not right? Then he came here at 9:30 p.m. yesterday. When he didn't come back Saturday night, we wasn't sure if he was dead or alive because we didn't think it was like him to not come back and his phone bill hadn't been paid. Right? We didn't think it was something he would do. That really surprised Isaiah and I. I'm like, I hope he's okay because he knew that his phone was getting cut off at midnight. Daniel's not on my phone plan. So that's another strategy with abusive people. Even when I'm helping them, I acknowledge they're an abuser. So I keep some legal separation of them off of certain things. And I did the same thing with Elijah too. You could call me the bitch word and Norbit's wife, but you won't land on my long-time phone plan that I have had over 20 some years. Okay, you just won't land there, right? So Daniel has a separate phone line, and we do. Isaiah and I, we pay his phone bill. Daniel has church activities, he has school and stuff like that. So it also prevents Daniel from stealing our stuff or having the a craving to take our devices because he has his own device. Okay, so but if Daniel were to just move out completely, he's not under my phone plan. Daniel does not stick to agreements with the court order. I ended up paying the phone bill, but he did not upload the 3 videos that he said that he would upload on a YouTube channel. He's a complete pathological liar. Daniel, if I don't see him at a location, or I don't see him upload on YouTube, or I can't go to YouTube and witness he uploaded, which I did, I checked. At 10:30 some p.m. on Saturday, Daniel said he was uploading his 3rd video on YouTube. He didn't upload anything. So I can't believe anything Daniel says. He's a pathological liar, and I can't believe anything he says anymore. So more of the comparison of the wicked, going back to the church thing, these are just boundaries that I set. And ultimately it leads me in no contact. Like with Elijah. Kaylin and Elijah wanted to get back in, and they tried to manipulate and use Pastor Dan's church to get back in with me. I did not allow that. Your abusers should not be invited to your church. It's very inappropriate. And I don't care what you think that Bible say, love your enemy. That's not normal as well. I don't go to church every Sunday because I know that a lot of what's in that Bible is falsehood and irrational. And I'm not going to overly invest in a Bible-based religion when I know that that Bible, a lot of that stuff gets you murdered. So if I did that love your enemies, right? And I brought Kaylin and Elijah at my church. Remember, I told you Elijah threatened Daniel. Threatened to throw Daniel off a balcony for no reason last year. Even if a child is abusive and mean, at the end of the day, Daniel's still under my house. So even though he's a wicked in nature person, the Lord has put me in a position to be his protector. And you always protect the people in your home over outsiders. Elijah and Kaylin was never welcomed in my residence. And Elijah has not been allowed to be inside my residence since 2023. Even when Elijah showed up at my door unannounced, when I went to go pick up the phone out of evidence for him, and he just showed up unannounced at my door, this was around April of this year, I told Elijah not to do that anymore. I said, do not come to my door, man, no more unannounced. Elijah and Kaylin, do not contact me anymore. And how do I feel about it? I feel peaceful about that. Elijah and Kaylin are trouble, and I don't need those type of people in my life. Elijah told me back in 2022, if I were you, I would wish I didn't have a son like me. So it's very irrational and not logical to be crying over somebody like Elijah. So that's one boundary with the church. Your enemies will ask to come to your church. And so many people have had to leave their churches because of an enemy they brought there. So the answer should be no. No, that's okay. You're giving away your location. So anyone that's threatened to unalive you or anyone in your household, Elijah has threatened to unalive Isaiah, Daniel, and I. It's not rational to give Elijah the location where you go to church. Some dumb Christians would have did it because they wouldn't believe that Elijah will unalive them at church. I know for a fact a wicked person will do that to you. So many people in the United States, they just help people kill them. They give them the address, tell them which Sunday or which day of the week they go into church or the masjid. It's just crazy. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King's mother was shot at the church. Unfortunately, she was shot by a nutcase at the church. Dr. Martin Luther King. His legal birth name was Michael King, y'all. He legally changed his name to Martin. Dr. Martin Luther King legal birth name was Michael King. You talk about manipulation. That's very manipulative for you not to even know his legal name. Manipulative on the part of Dr. Martin Luther King. And then people will doubt if he's a homosexual, if he fucks men at the hotel, if he was on cocaine. Yes, he does all of the above. He ain't even telling you his real name, dog. Dr. Martin Luther King was a total demon. I did my own studying. I didn't want to believe it at first. I went back and looked at those photos of Dr. Martin Luther King. The homosexuality is just right there before you. And that alone doesn't make him the worst person in the world, but his undercover drug abuse. So that leads to the homosexuality, the snorting cocaine and stuff like that. And that's why he was shot in front of that hotel like that, or that motel. The Lord was making a statement. This is where you do your dirt. The Lord is saying, Dr. Martin Luther King or Dr. Michael King, this is where you do your dirt. So this is where I'm allow you to get shot up at. Because this motel and these are the hideouts where you go in these rooms, snort cocaine, and fuck men. And never tell the public that your biological birth name is Michael King. And by the way, never tells the public that he was infatuated with a white woman and wanted to marry the white woman, but his father would not allow him to marry the white woman. So in Dr. Martin Luther King's soul, he didn't really want black. He ended up with black because he got with Coretta Scott King, because that's what his father said you pretty much have to do. It's going to ruin our reputation for you to marry a white woman. Dr. King doesn't tell you that. That's why he wants y'all mixing. Because Dr. Martin Luther King's dream was to be with a white woman his whole life. And then the gay man that I did this. I said, well, if Dr. Martin Luther King was really homosexual, his man would be right in front of you. All down low men, they have their man right in front of you. They bring them over for dinner. One lady, her down low man would bring the transgender female over to eat with them. Yes, this actually happened to a sister. Her husband, imagine your husband come home and he bring his transgender, what they call transgender female, which is a biological man dressed as a woman, and have him eating at y'all table. So one of the things I said about Dr. Martin Luther King, because he's wicked in nature, this is the comparison of the wicked, is that if he had a man, his man would be right before you. And it was that one man that was helping him write his speeches and stuff. That gay man is probably Dr. Martin Luther King's nigga. Okay, Dr. Martin Luther King was not a Christian, y'all. He just used the Christian faith to get more of his manipulation from his soul. So I was hurt by what I found it, but I always knew what bothered me was I always looked at the motel photo of how he was shot outside the motel. See, Malcolm X didn't live like Dr. King. Malcolm X was faithful to his wife, preaching. Malcolm X was doing actually God's work. So Malcolm X shot getting ready to preach. Dr. King got shot in front of the motel. So the Lord allowed them to get shot how they lived. That's why Malcolm X was able to have the little smile before he died. He did the smile, right? Malcolm X had a beautiful smile. So I'm glad he did the little smile before he died. And there was witnesses, you know, it's not just in the movie, there was witnesses to testify of Malcolm X doing a little smile before they blew his chest off. So Malcolm X also looked more angelic in his casket too, right? So I always knew something wasn't right. Like, why would the Lord, you know, I was taught in grade school that Dr. Martin Luther King was such an amazing guy. But I'm like, why would the Lord allow him to be slaughtered in front of a motel like that? The Lord was making a statement to Dr. King before he enters hell. And the killers knew that Dr. King was living a facade. They didn't just shoot him because he was helping the black race and trying to end segregation, or he was ending segregation. They shot him because they knew his dirt. They knew that Dr. Martin Luther King get up on TV and play like that facade, but then he go to the motel, do cocaine and fuck men and have orgies and shit. And the Lord allowed him to get shot at that motel. And if you look at the photos of when he got shot, you see the men around him helping him. And in one of the photos, Dr. Martin Luther King had his legs kind of gapped open. Remember, I do my series of reading without the cards. How you can utilize your gift and read a scene without cards. All the men was around Dr. King. He was bleeding on the ground on his back, and his legs was kind of gapped open. The Lord is making a statement through body language. Yes, he fucks around with men. That's what that means. He's surrounded around men when he passes. There were several men around him. Now, those men aren't gay per se. I'm not saying the men around him are gay, but that's more reading without the cards. I have a playlist about that, y'all. Reading without the cards. So, and we talking about church here with more of the comparison of the wicked. Dr. Martin Luther King was attending a Baptist church and was living a whole undercover, down low gay life. But you can go to YouTube and look up that gay man that was writing his speeches. That's most likely his nigga. I did my research. Dr. King is a demon. And another Christian sister that helped raise me alerted me to him. She told me, "You didn't know that?" And I started researching. She was right. And I always dig for my own evidence, right? So what I do, I'm like, okay, I've studied about down low men. If he's homosexual or down low, Dr. Martin Luther King, his man would be right in front of us. I went right to YouTube and found the man. And in one of the videos, this stare that this man, the way he's staring at Dr. Martin Luther King, that stare looks like he didn't hit Dr. Martin Luther King in the ass, or Dr. King didn't hit him in the ass. Something has went on. If I found a real loving husband and we did a video, that's the stare my husband would have. From my perspective, Dr. Martin Luther King was down low. I believe that his cocaine addiction led him on that road. I can't say that he was like that when he was a little boy, and I believe his suppression of having to live in a way that he didn't want to live, because Dr. Martin Luther King really wanted a white woman. That's what he wanted. But his father said, no, you're marrying black. So he ended up marrying beautiful Coretta Scott King. And in one of the writings, Coretta Scott King said, ain't none of it true. She ain't at the motel. He lived a double life. Coretta Scott King is at home keeping the 4 children. She don't know what the fuck he doing. She sounded just like a victim. A naive victim. Coretta Scott King was really young and naive. He kept his children and his wife away from those motels. You won't see videos of Dr. King and his wife and kids at those motels. However, with Malcolm X, you can find videos of Malcolm X anywhere with his family, at a motel, at the house, at conventions, because Malcolm X wasn't fucking around with men. He didn't have a double life in the way Dr. King did. Dr. Martin Luther King was at them motels a lot. And this was another red flag. Why would such a good man, such a powerful man that the Lord has gifted, why is Dr. Martin Luther King dying at that type of motel? That's a motel that a person in the projects could rent. I like motels. I stayed in one when I was in Texas. I did a staycation with my cousin here. I like the old school environment of a motel, but I'm not Dr. Martin Luther King. If I'm Dr. Martin Luther King, I don't belong at the regular low-income motel. I'm speaking to the world, right? And he always stayed in those motels. Like, you know, it's like Dr. King seemed to kind of not be at the 5-star motels. I do both. I go to 5-star hotels, but then if I want to, I'll stay at a motel. What about the diversity? But Dr. Martin Luther King always kept his ass at those sleazy ass motels because he was living a double life. And that's the environment he went to get that cocaine. That's where his drug dealers are going to be at. That motel where he died, y'all, that's not a classy motel. Where Dr. Martin Luther King is laying on the ground with all those men around him. I'm not saying they're gay. They're just there to help because he got shot. Most of them are not gay. Probably none of them are not gay. Those are most likely straight men, while Dr. Martin Luther King is laying on the ground bleeding. And in one of the photos, you can see his legs gapped open. Even when I seen the photos when I was a child, it never sat right with me. That bothered me. And I finally found the answers that I needed. Dr. Michael King. And you can go to Truth Unedited channel. Google it. It tells you. If you Google Dr. Martin Luther King's birth name, it will tell you his birth name was Michael. And it will give you the reasons. You can go to Truth Unedited channel, and he does videos about Dr. Martin Luther King, and he will go over the reasons why the name was changed. Because Dr. Martin Luther King was a Mason, not a Baptist. He's a Mason. Okay, so please understand that. A lot of the support that Dr. Martin Luther King helped the Black community with has hurt us. Integrating with white people doesn't bring independence. It keeps you dependent on your abusers and your cruel masters. That's what it does. So this is more of the comparison of the wicked. Dr. Martin Luther King is good to be brought up in this video because he's part of the church. This is more of the comparison of the wicked regarding the church. And I apologize, y'all, for the mutes that I had to use. I was putting you on mute because I'm in asthma phase. And so the asthmatic cough is back. And so speaking, I'm not coughing right now. I got my tea here, my 12-ounce tea. And I coughed it up. And speaking, like I've told y'all before, you got to work your lungs out. I'm standing. With asthma, you want to stand when you speak. It clears the asthma out. I'm working my way through this without the inhaler, y'all. Stop being over-reliant on albuterol and inhalers. And the reason that is because in the event of a deadly asthma attack, you want your albuterol to work. Okay? You don't want your body to be immune to or too used to the albuterol. Okay? So this is more of the comparison of the wicked with the church. And so these are my boundaries. I look at how people treat me after church. For me, that's good for Daniel that he attends church often. But, and it ain't Pastor Dan's fault. Pastor Dan's not teaching you to call your mother Norbert's wife, call your mother a reptile, call your mother a bitch. This is not what's being taught at Pastor Dan Church. I know that for sure because Isaiah and I go approximately every 6 weeks. It's not my personality. Because, see, for one, pathological abusers, they're abusing me for the wrong reasons. For one, they're being mean and abusing me out of pathological jealousy because it's something that I have that they don't. And for Daniel, it's that I don't do drugs. Okay. Daniel's courage is not used in the right place. If the courage he has to treat me the way he does in front of Isaiah, and he even tries to do it in public now, but I check it. The universe will take care of Daniel. I'm not worried about it. I told Daniel, keep his hands off me. Don't you touch me or get violent with me. Daniel's kind of like a con artist too. He's a criminal, okay? And you want to look at people different, whether they're a teenager or not. When you go to courts and you tell them, yes, they're welcomed in my residence. I want them back. I want to support them. When they're on court orders, you're bringing a criminal to your residence, not your child. Any criminal that you have in your residence, they normally bring problems. This is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way. You won't view your family member that way when you're helping them, but as you go into the helping, I have to keep that in mind. Right now, Daniel violates the court orders. He does not obey. The court order says to obey your mother, do what your mother asks. And what I'm asking is not nothing extreme. Do chores, very simple chores. Something as simple as go clean the refrigerator out. Thank you so much for the like, y'all. So, also, Daniel shouldn't have been. When he got in that trouble, he wasn't supposed to be out of the house. The reason he ended up incarcerated and on the court order is because of his disobedience and his problem with following rules. So I have a criminal in my residence. I have a dangerous criminal in my residence. And I deal with reality for that. With that, I brought a dangerous criminal in my residence. And yes, he is dangerous. Daniel's dangerous. If I got into a serious fight with Daniel, I would have to fight for my life. He's dangerous. Any male, no matter who they are, that calls me Norbit wife, a reptile, the bitch word. He takes my doll and gently pushes it on the floor. He want to push me. He want to push me. I don't feel comfortable being here with them alone. Him going to church, Daniel going to church doesn't mean he won't hurt me. Because he doesn't live a holy life. Actually, somebody that go to church and is willing to, after church, treat his family the way he treats them, he's actually damn near more dangerous than somebody that don't show up at church at all. Daniel is dangerous. I am aware of that. Any male that's been consistently calling me reptiles and bitches for 4 years is dangerous to me. But I already let him know, don't put his hands on me. And he said this morning, Daniel said, yeah, because you from St. Louis. I said, yeah, that's right, nigga. That's exactly where I'm fucking from. Don't put your hands on me, nigga. And then he says, you called me a nigga. He said, you called me a crackhead. That's another thing with wicked people. He came in here yesterday. He showed up at my door at 9:30, being disrespectful. I said, look, I told you to call, dog, before you come here. Then, and I didn't say dog, I'm saying it here. So in yesterday's instance, I didn't use it, but I was thinking it, right? Then he comes back after midnight, comes in here cussing, not calling me the B word or Norba's wife, but he's just cussing. I've asked him several times to stop cussing in my house. Somebody's going to beat the shit out of Daniel one day. And that's when a lot of this behavior, see the behavior he's doing with me, I don't have to stop it. It's just like the shit that Kaylin and Elijah was doing, right? Kaylin and Elijah, they back off from me. Once Kaylin and Elijah talked about James being dead, that's why James dead. Once they did that, and within 38 hours, a baby dies and Elijah's incarcerated. Once the universe kind of took care of them, then they just back off from me. I'm not no witch, but I'm a genuine person. And I have a genuine love for the Creator and Jesus and people. I helped Kaylin and Elijah. I fed Kaylin when she was hungry. The girl was pregnant and Elijah couldn't even buy her a noodle. I fed her when she was hungry. And the way she repaid me in this year, Kaylin's a narcissistic sociopath. The way she repaid me was celebrating that James died. I said, oh, the Lord gonna get you. I said, the Lord would have let you talk about my mama. Because she wasn't no good mother. She didn't try hard enough. But you talked about James. And then Kaylin names her son Jamani James. What kind of luck are you going to have from that? Within 38 hours, her baby died. The one she named Jamani James. And I'm not happy about it. But they back off. See, I'm not in control. And I don't. One of the things I do, and I talked about this earlier in the video, I make sure I'm not incarcerated over these people. And I explain to you why. Go back in this video. If you just came in and listen to why you don't want to be incarcerated over them. And so I do that. That's one of my goals in life. Not to be locked down over a wicked person. No matter who they are. And I teach Isaiah the same thing. Daniel pushes that doll down. He pushed the doll down in my living room before school this morning, called me Norbit's wife, made fun of my voice, called me a reptile, called me the bitch word. It's not legal to assault him. I can't, and that's the thing with nowadays. That's why I don't want to keep no more kids. See, back in my era, your mother and brother could snatch your ass up and bump on you, straighten your little ass out. That's illegal now. Daniel's already called the police on me and Isaiah approximately a year, up to a year and a half ago, when I already had to defend myself because Daniel was starting fights with me and Isaiah right outside on the sidewalk. And yes, I did help Isaiah. I chose to help Isaiah. I don't believe in that narcissistic shit, treat them all the same. I do not treat fucking abusers the same as good empathic people. Isaiah was protecting my life. And I was not going to allow Daniel's badass to push my son in the damn street. My loving, kind son, Isaiah, that doesn't fuck with people, goes to work, mind his business. I was not going to let Daniel's demonic ass push my motherfucking son in front of no cars or injure Isaiah. Because I knew exactly what Daniel was going to do. And yes, I stepped in with the weapon. I put it on Daniel. Daniel called the police. I told him. I said, call them. You want to call the police? Call them. Daniel called the police, and the police told Daniel, this was up to a year and a half ago. The police told Daniel, if I come back here, I'm taking you to jail, man. Because Daniel is the aggressor. If you ever hear someone say everybody should be treated the same, that is a fucking psychopath and narcissist saying that shit. You can't treat everybody the same because they don't all act the same. Not to treat them exactly the same, especially when they are in your presence and they are under your household and you are interacting with them. It's no way I can treat Isaiah the exact same as Daniel because they don't treat me the same. Isaiah works very hard to treat me well, and Daniel does not. I don't have to call Isaiah a nigga or crackhead. Oh, I give abusers a run for their money, honey. I got your Norbit and reptile and bitch and whatever you want to call me. He pushed the doll down. I said, that's okay. You ain't touch me, dog. Go ahead, get bouncy. Put your hand on me. Like I told Isaiah, I explained to Isaiah what self-defense is. We do have a right to defend ourselves. The police explained that to Daniel too, a year and a half ago, when I already put the weapon on him. You just can't use extreme force. The weapon I used, it wasn't a gun. It just broke up the dispute and it stopped Daniel from injuring Isaiah. And it stopped Isaiah from unaliving a nigga. Because I got to protect Isaiah from incarceration. I love Isaiah. You know, I love all my children. I love Daniel as well. I just feel sorry for his nature and I'm glad not to be him. But I do love Daniel. I just am disappointed. He's my son, but not a son. Daniel's not a son, but he is my biological son. But um any male that's consistently calling you a bitch, they don't care no more. He learned it from Elijah. He got it honestly. But Elijah, I'm not gonna keep blaming it on Elijah. Elijah been gone a long time. The only type of person that would keep doing what Elijah trained Daniel to do is a wicked person. Isaiah was around seeing Elijah do the same shit. Call me the B word and stuff. And Isaiah's not doing it. It's all about choices. Elijah beats up on Kaylin right now. See, the thing with the behavior, this is the thing with the behavior that I know about pathological abusers. It's not a behavior that they're just gonna do here. I understand that Daniel, he will perfect his aura and he will perfect that behavior. He's most likely entering people's houses. It's just a matter of time. If a male will call a mama a Norbit's wife, you know the movie, the big old dark-skinned black chick. I'm not even dark-skinned, but oh well, my mama was. Okay. My mama looking more like Norbit's wife. Okay. So, but my mama never got that damn big neither. And my mama was prettier than that Norbit's wife looking person. The way they got her looking, my mama was dark skinned but a little fine. My mom had some real long, pretty hair too. She wore wigs. My mama would wear wigs, but her hair was longer than that wig hair, for real. My mama's hair went down in the middle of her back and would be way longer than her wigs. My mama wasn't bald headed, honey. So Daniel's nature, see, that's one of the things I don't like when Elijah was calling me the B word. He was doing it, and within 2 weeks, the police almost George Floyded him out. He threw Elijah all on the concrete, almost George Floyded him out. The universe takes care of it. Daniel is breaking the court order too much. A lot of the reasons that Daniel are at risk of an assault, for one, Daniel's very handsome. He's very, very handsome. Not in soul, but in beauty. He's very, very handsome, nice skin, really long, beautiful dreads. That's his real hair. And he keeps violating the court order. He keeps going in places that Isaiah and I are not aware of. And Daniel's living kind of like a double life. Wherever he's going on the weekends, he's there too much. And Daniel's also doing what you call wearing out his welcome. Okay, so wherever he going every Saturday, Sunday, and Friday, and in the evenings, even after school, he's wearing out his welcome. So people get tired of you. And the behavior, when any male is willing to call a mother, a Norbit, the Norbit wife, and Norbit's wife, and you know, he's making fun of the fact that I'm 40 to 50 pounds bigger than Daniel. Okay. Oh, I'll do a separate video about that. How they react to the stuff. But overall, the comparison of the wicked, hopefully I mentioned enough church examples. Oh, my asthma, my lungs are clearing out so good, y'all. I'm so glad I did this live video. My asthma is just totally clearing out. So this is more of the comparison of the wicked talking about the church. So, in summary, no. When wicked people ask to come to your church, um, I don't directly say no as well. I just don't make a appointment to take them to my church. I just act like I don't even attend the church no more. I just act like I don't even attend the church anymore. So just don't do it. I don't say no. But no, with the way Daniel treats me, I'm not going to get up and dress up and say, let's go to church, Daniel. I'm not going to do that shit. Isaiah and I will continue to go to Pastor Dan's church. But sometimes I go and Daniel's not even Sunday. I enjoy saying, hey, Isaiah, let's go. Isaiah's not abusing me. So I enjoy going with non-abusers. I'm not the type of person. That's why I'm not in forever cycles of abuse. And I always eventually get an abuser completely off my radar. And I eventually am always not in an abuser's sphere of influence, like H.G. Tudor would say. I'm not in an abuser's sphere of influence because I don't forget the abusive act and I don't respond with an abusive act with love. But I am showing love. Look, let me tell you what love is. Let me explain to you what it is so you'll understand my sweet nature. Daniel, he pushed my doll down, called me Norbit's wife, called me a reptile, called me the B word, all in front of my family, Isaiah. I am showing love because he made it to school and I didn't unalive him. That's love. That I didn't take him off the face of the earth today. That's love. But that's all you owe an abuser is basic love. That's it. Now, if I wake up Sunday, all this to me, and say, "Come on, Daniel, let's go to church." That's not love. That's stupidity. And now, see, when you do that, I learned about abusers. When you are overly nice, show them basic love. After Daniel did all of that in my residence, he went to school. He left out of here in one whole piece. Because I'm not gonna be the one to beat Daniel's ass. This is another narcissistic lady friend. She's calling. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Angel.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing better. I was at the hospital again.
Oh, you went to the hospital again?
Yeah, I caught it real bad. I slept down on this little mattress I had got. I was gonna get it for the dogs. And I just laid down there. I had the window open. I had the fans on. Because it was hot, and I fell asleep. And it got cold, and I woke up, girl, and all that cold was in my lungs, in my chest. You know how that cold get in us.
I've been going through that too with my asthma, and then this.
I had shortness of breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to breathe. I was moaning and stuff, and I said, "This go on. I'm gonna go on until I was on my way to the hospital." And I went there to the urgent care, and they was packed.
Right.
And so I came back home, and then I started drinking that Mucinex, and I was drinking that Theraflu hot,
mm-hmm.
and that Alka-Seltzer cold, drinking that down so get back, and I started feeling a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still got a lot of coal in me needs to come out.
Yeah.
And I got vacation coming up day after tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm glad you feeling better. And this weather triggers it off too, Miss Angel. So I'll call you back within 30 minutes because I'm getting ready for this appointment too. So I'll call you back within like 30 minutes.
Okay.
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 Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Yeah. I do videos about Miss Angel, another narcissistic lady friend. Um, Stop becoming people's therapist, right? So she drinks. So she was just in the hospital for her pancreas. I'm not her physician. I'm not her therapist. Um, Miss Angel continually supports Elijah and Kaylin with the breaking of that court order, which is what Miss Angel did in her own life. That's why she was in prison 17 years. So she's not changed. She claims she believes in the Lord and she continuously supports wickedness. So Miss Angel has some wickedness in nature. And I've talked to her about some of these things. I've told her that I don't think she should be, you know, that court order that Elijah has where he's not supposed to be around Kaylin. Miss Angel being her age shouldn't support that. She drank with Elijah. And that brings me a lot of pain because Miss Angel, she's old enough to be Elijah's mother or auntie. She's at least old enough to be his mother. Miss Angel is older than me, but she drank liquor in front of or with my son Elijah. She's a horrible role model in general, and I don't give a fuck that she's sick. I will be cordial, but her pancreas shut down, and then she says she's not gonna stop drinking. She's a heavy cigarette smoker. Okay, and so she needs to go seek a therapist for her illnesses. All her illnesses, you don't want your pancreas. You want to keep drinking. I'm not going to be her therapist. That's her karma. Stop drinking with people's kids. She's a bad role model. And she's an ex-drug dealer and would still be willing to do it right now. She ain't changed. So I don't know why the fuck she expects the Lord to keep her health. Right now, I've been on this video 2 hours, y'all. I was putting it on mute. Whenever y'all wouldn't hear the music, I was muting because I was clearing myself out from my asthma. I'm gonna have my doctor. They supposed to do a referral to the pulmonary specialist too. I think with my age and the long-term asthma that I've had, it's time for them to start doing more x-rays of my lungs and stuff. But I'll get through it. But this video, I talked about this before. I do a lot naturally, standing up and speaking. So my lungs is clearing out right now. You got to keep using your lungs. Everything's muscular. Just use it. Look, I'm cleared out. I'm drinking my little tea. I'm not having to put it on mute. I'm not having to put things on mute to cough or do any of that. I try to be polite in a video. I don't think y'all want to hear a video where somebody's repeatedly coughing, right? So I try to make my video as professional as possible so that y'all will like, share, and subscribe and be able to focus on the video. But I do these series, another narcissistic lady friend, and that's Miss Angel. So get more involved in your own life and stop over caring. She told me she's not gonna smoke a cigarette, she's not gonna stop drinking, and all of that's messing up her immune system to where it's affecting the lungs and everything. Her immune system is shutting down. I don't want her to die, but hey, if she dies, she dies. That's what's gotta happen, because that's what she wants to happen. You will never live a happy life feeling sorry for every motherfucking wicked person, whether it be your kids or whoever they are. You will never be happy overindulging in compassion for wicked people. Let me say it again. You will never be happy. You can do this as a quote. You will never be happy overindulging in compassion for wicked people. I'm focused on my video. She needs to stop drinking. She needs to stop drinking with young males that's young enough to be her son, okay? Or girls. She probably drank with Caitlyn too. I know she did it with Elijah. I was on the phone. Elijah was all drunk and stuff. So was she. That's a very inappropriate relationship that Miss Angel, which she's another narcissistic lady friend. I've done videos about her. This is more of the comparison of the wicked, but since she called, that's her. I got off the phone. I got to complete my video. My video is not complete. I got my own health problems. But what I am not doing is going out finding more triggers for my asthma. I'm not these people therapists. I don't treat wicked people the same as kind people. That is a narcissistic perspective. I'm not going to treat Miss Angel the same as my empathic friend that's actually sweeter in nature, that would never drink with one of my children, that will never help one of my children break a court order. Talking about Elijah. I will treat that person better than Miss Angel. I've done videos about her. She's another narcissistic lady friend. She's a bad role model for the Black community. She's an enabler. And she wants people to do just as bad as she did. She did 17 fucking years in the penitentiary. And it was because Miss Angel was breaking fucking court orders. But what does her Black ass do? She helps Elijah do the same shit that she did. Because she doesn't wish well on Elijah. The only people that Miss Angel treat well is Zooks and Cupcake, her pit bulls. And she's doing them a disservice. If she ain't gonna stop smoking cigarettes and drinking, her dogs are gonna have to go to somebody else if she pass. She making her damn self sick. And I got too many problems over here. Miss Angel's so wicked, she want Elijah back in the house. She said, oh, you just giving up on that boy? Fuck yeah, I gave up on him. And Daniel's next. And see, this is the thing, because I'm to abusers. When an abuser, when your own son call you Norbit's wife, the B word, and a reptile, and he leaves in one piece without being bruised or assaulted, and he leaves and go to school, you're being very nice. It's also nice to still let him back in your house. It's compassionate to let a person back in your house that you know have no other place to go. So it's not just nice, I'm showing compassion. Now the empathy that I'm having, I feel it for me and Isaiah. I'm losing empathy for Daniel because Isaiah and our safety is at the foremost importance. And I do understand the potential danger of any Black male that's in my residence calling me the B word. But I'm not overly nice. Now, if I wake up Sunday morning, Daniel, let's go to church, buddy. That's when he's going to unalive the whole motherfucking family. Because that's a little too nice. An abuser pathological abuser, they just deserve basic patience. You obey the law. You obey the law. So it's illegal for me to, he pushed my doll down. See, Daniel's a criminal. Okay, this is the thing with a criminal. And I explained this to Isaiah. I told Isaiah what self-defense is. Okay. I talked to him. You can't, if the person is not violent with you, you can't use extreme force. He threw my doll down. About 20 minutes later, I gently threw his backpack to him on the ground. That's not extreme force, but he pushed my doll down first. He said, that's an assault. I said, call the police. Because I'm going to let them know you pushed my doll down first. The police just going to say, well, man, that's not excessive force. You pushed her stuff first. Cameras need to be here. I don't have cameras in my residence. And I need them. Pathological abusers like Daniel, they're aware that no cameras here too. At this point, Daniel doesn't care about cameras. He doesn't like me talking about him on these videos, but I told Daniel, stop doing this shit. If you don't like what I'm saying, it's not like what I'm saying about you are lies. He did all of this today in front of a witness. Isaiah is a witness to what Daniel does. At this time, we're not calling the police. All calling the police may do at this point, I'm very strategic in these matters, right? So there's already this court order in place. The court, calling the police may have me legally tied to him longer. That's all it may do. I might be better off. No matter if you put Daniel back in jail, it don't matter what punishment they give him, he's still going to do it. Daniel will stop this behavior, but he will have to be harmed or assaulted by someone that's not connected to me and Isaiah. And that will happen because he keeps leaving this residence. See, Isaiah and I, we're still Daniel's protector. He's not our protector, but we're still his. So whoever would harm Daniel, we ain't going to let him in here. But Daniel keep taking his ass up in people's house. Whoever house he go to, they could tie Daniel up in the basement, rape and beat the shit out of him for weeks. Isaiah would not know where to go. We don't even know a name of where he goes to. We don't know where he stayed a night. And that's a dangerous person to have in your house. Like I was talking about the Dr. Martin Luther King thing. Dr. Martin Luther King, he was in the Baptist church, but his behavior was very dangerous for Coretta Scott King. He's going over there hiding out in motels, keeping his family very separate from those motels. Coretta Scott King said he wasn't doing any of that. She don't know what he's doing because she's not fucking there. Very naive victims. She wasn't saying that up until the day she died, though, from what I know. The Lord has a way of showing you things. All you got to do is be looking through their stuff. I'm not saying this happened, but looking through Dr. King's stuff, I enjoyed myself last night with you, man. I love you so much. It was good from Ricky. The fuck? Something that simple could be found in his things. I'm not saying it happened, but the Lord has a way when people die of revealing, or when they get killed, of revealing what they was secretly doing. The Lord has a way of allowing it to come out. And Coretta Scott King matured. She got older. She aged out. She was a beautiful lady, but she was married to a wicked man. Just the fact that Dr. King lived a double life, he's wicked in nature. This is more of the comparison of the wicked. The church, y'all. He was a church man. He's a church man. So they've always existed. Black males that use the church as a facade, whether it be Dr. Martin Luther King, Daniel, and there's many other demons at that church. When Isaiah and I go, see, this is the thing. I'm gonna tell you something about church. The wicked people, and I'm not talking about Pastor Dan. He's committed to God. The most wicked people, they show up every Sunday. They don't miss a Sunday. And because they're showing up so habitually, the service, it all just starts sounding the same to them. They're becoming immune to the lesson. It just all sounds the same. It removes the power in it. Okay? So now, when Isaiah was going through his issues, I said, Isaiah, you need some help. You need spiritual help. It's mandatory here in this residence to attend some sort of spirituality. Like I said in other videos, I kind of run this like a sobriety house. And that's another reason why Daniel's running off. I'm monitored now. When he woke up for school, I go where he's at. I got to stop him from charging his vapes here. So as far as I know, he's not doing vape or drugs here. So Daniel's going to another location to do drugs and vape. And I'm so tired of people's choices. Stop crying over them. If Daniel comes back here one day with blood running down his leg, I'm not going to be crying about it because he shouldn't be going where he's at, breaking his court order. You got to stop crying over people when they are fully aware of their actions. They are fully aware of, because with me, I break it down. I give you a direct report of what's coming to you. I already told Daniel. I said, you're going to be beat up by a man. It's not going to be me and Isaiah. He keep going around other fucking men. Daniel's aura. When I'm around Daniel, he can no longer conceal his wicked nature anymore. It's all in his eyes. He came in here after midnight, about 12:20, cussed at me. I saw Daniel in his bed. I said, you look like a demon. He said, oh, well. His demonic nature is very strong, and other people will pick up on it. It's a look that he's going to give, a body gesture, and it will be the ultimate reason why compassion is removed from the situation. Daniel's going to be seriously hurt, injured, killed, or beat real bad. It's coming. It's coming to him. That part of the Bible is true. A disobedient child does not live all their days. And they're killed too. Shot. You got it coming, right? If this is the way you treat people, Isaiah and I, we did so much good by him. We went to court. We visited Daniel when he was incarcerated. We was at the hospital when he overdosed in 2024. And I'm going to bring this up again. He remains on drugs because of his wicked nature. See, I can't do drugs like that because I can't do that wicked act to my body. The fact that they would put that in their body on a regular basis and just use what the Bible calls our bodies, our temple, it's our temple. It's a wicked natured person. I explained this to y'all. Stop feeling so sorry for junkies. They do drugs because the majority of them are very wicked. And if a drug addict's truly empathic, if they're really good natured, those are going to be the drug addicts that stop doing that shit to themselves. Whoever was doping Daniel up this weekend, do you think he called that motherfucker Norbit's wife and bitches and reptiles? No, he didn't do any of that. Daniel's very, I understand the mind of a drug dealer or serial killer type person. So what's happening is, see, Daniel's a nice looking guy. And that's what's going to get him beat down. So he goes in these environments. He fucks around with a lot of foreigners too. And they are very envious of dreads, brown skin, clear skin. So, see, the thing is, when they give them the drugs, and they'll give them the drugs for free because they enjoy watching him get skinnier, watching his jaws shrink in, his lips begin to disappear. He starts looking like what he calls me, a reptile. Daniel gets the demonic reptile look. So his dealers and whatever bitch he around, I'm calling her a bitch because any bitch that's around him is very demonic in nature as well. She definitely isn't picking a stand-up good guy. It's a red flag. He coming around you, but you ain't met his mama. He's not going to bring his girlfriend around me because I'm going to let her know what he's about. You must like dating demons, ma'am. I warned Kaylin. Kaylin's a narcissistic sociopath. Elijah whoops her ass. She got a permanent cut over her eye. I tried to tell Kaylin what he was about. Daniel knows not to bring his girlfriend nowhere near me because I'm going to report what he is. No lady should be dating a dude that won't bring her home to his mother. He don't want his mother to tell who he really is. She'll find out though. I'm not keeping any more kids because the law doesn't allow me to legally discipline a kid the way they need to be. Daniel pushed my dial down, called me Norbit's wife, called me a reptile, called me bitch, a bitch all in front of, he even threatened to pow, 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 like shoot me up or some shit. And those type of threats, he'll make sure Isaiah's not right there around. And I told him, I said, nigga, that's what somebody gonna do to you. That pow, pow, pow shit, that's what's coming to you. Be careful what you speak. But legally, I'm not keeping no more kids because what these kids need is those narcissistic sociopaths that raised me. My mama would have got a whole murder case over the nigga because she didn't have good sense. Okay. My mama wouldn't have cared about nobody, police, or nothing. She would have got a murder case over him. My mama would have took him and just started beating him viciously. My mama couldn't have took it, or my grandmother. And that don't make them better because they're irrational and flipping the fuck out and going too far. You gotta have enough love in your soul not to kill your child. Or anyone for that matter. That's the niceness in you. Daniel's improved, but it's not good enough because he has refused to stop his behavior. Oh, he think he going to heaven too, y'all. That's fucking funny to me. That motherfucker that's calling their mother Norbit wife and reptiles and bitches. He actually believes he's going to a heaven. This is fucking funny. It's hilarious. He believes he's going to a heaven, y'all. Oh, it's just crazy. The irrational beliefs that wicked people have. They do. They believe this shit too. He be serious too. I'm entering heaven, bitch. The hell? And he hasn't literally said that, but in so many words. That's his mindset, okay? That's his mindset. So, because he called me the bitch word before school, and then he'll tell me at another time he's entering heaven. So you can put them together because he's doing both. He's saying he's going to enter heaven while calling names. He has no soul for Isaiah. Like, that's one of the things with Elijah and Daniel. They don't care what they do in front of Isaiah, how it hurts him and affects him, how it affects his functioning and stuff, just in general, and how painful it is to care about your mother and you see anybody talking to your mother like that. It is painful. My mother did not even do right by my sister and I, but I still would have felt uncomfortable. I never liked it when any man jumped on her or abused her. When my mother was being jumped on by Wayne and stuff, and her long-term abuser, I never liked it, even though my mother was not doing right. But this is more of the comparison of the wicked, talking about the church and other aspects as well. So thank you so much for the likes. Rhonda Buford, again, thank you so much for the comment saying hello. Rhonda Buford said she liked and subscribed. I wouldn't be surprised if Rhonda unsubscribed because she started the Do You Know Jesus of the Sky, because it's impossible getting inside. I didn't play too much into that. And I wasn't sure what that line of questioning was about. So, but I appreciate the comments though. But I think Rhonda Buford was being respectful, because I think when she said, just don't worry about it, I think that was a strategy to help me stay on subject, because I had a subject matter that I was working with. So hopefully I gave y'all a bunch of examples, or enough examples. I have a doctor's appointment, working on taking care of my skin, checking in about my asthma. And so I am going to be preparing for that. And so I love y'all so much. I'm going to be releasing this video to the public right away. This is more of the comparison of the wicked, the church, y'all. I'm going to add this too. I don't do the irrational Christianity. Okay, so what I mean by that is the irrational part of Christianity is what kept slaves in bondage for over 500 years. So I'm not getting on here praying for wicked people. I've already prayed for wicked people. I'm praying for them when I ask the Lord to deliver me from the evil one. That's the way you pray for wicked people. You're being too nice when you do that. That Bible, love your enemy, pray for your enemy, it all gets you unalived. If I actually really followed that, Daniel would have unalived the whole family by now, inclusive of Elijah. I'm being nice enough. Daniel did all of that and made it to school in one piece. That's the kindness that I'm showing. And the empathy and compassion that I'm showing for him as a human. Never let him get you locked up. If I don't like Daniel calling me names, I need to go get a restraining order and lock him out my house. I need to stop letting them back in. That's the way it has to be done. It's not legal for me to grab him by his dreads and beat him down and have Isaiah help. It's not legal. It gets Isaiah and I in a criminal situation. And that's what a criminal likes. I told y'all earlier, I didn't view Daniel like this. I viewed him as my child, and I'm saving him from the criminal justice system, and I'm supporting him to help get him on the right path. No, that's incorrect. I went to court, and I went to go visit a criminal in jail. A criminal, from my perspective, is someone that repeatedly breaks rules in society, repeatedly breaks people's boundaries. They repeatedly harass. They repeatedly rob and steal. They're repeatedly doing cruel things. This is just overall what a criminal is. And they will be notated in the court as a criminal, whether they be on a court order, probation, parole. They are listed in society as a criminal. And most criminals do have the inability to change. So my perspective now, since I went through this learning experience, is I have a criminal in my home. See, the way I think prevents me from assaulting Daniel too, because what I'm doing is taking accountability for my actions. So like this morning, before he leaves for school, he calls me Norbert's wife, he called me a reptile, calls me a bitch. And he wants me to stop telling on him here. So basically, I already ain't telling the police, but I can't even tell my viewers on YouTube what he's doing. Come on now. That's an abuser's isolation tactic. So the way I stay calm and aware is when he does all of this. He pushed my dial down in my living room and all of that. So when he does all of this, I have to think. I'm the one that went to court and I visited the jail twice a week consistently. And so I was doing that for a criminal. Daniel's a criminal. So I chose to bring a criminal back in my residence. And that's why I'm able to stay calm. So anger management, calmness, my love for the Lord. Daniel don't love no Lord. I do. So that's how I stay calm. And not doing it no more. Don't bring a criminal in your house. And you will not be subjected to this form of maltreatment. Eventually, this is one thing I know about criminals. And this is why I suspect Daniel will eventually be assaulted. Okay. For one, when he uses drugs, he's kind of losing control. He's entering other people's houses, and it's not a behavior. This behavior that Daniel does, my residence will not be his last location of the behavior. It's just like with Elijah. He's following the script too. Elijah was name calling here. He does it over there with Kaylin. He does it over there with Kaylin. They just move environments. They just move environments. That's all. This behavior is not going to be something. In Daniel's mistake, he's going to make a bad criminal move. He's going to be calling somebody bitches and reptiles. That's probably one of them foreigners. A lot of these foreigners are exceptionally dangerous. Okay? Sometimes more dangerous than even black people. He's going to view her as unprotected. And she going to let the lions out on him. He going to be at some woman's house. And the brothers going to come in, her cousins, and they going to beat him down. Might kill him. They might kill him. This is how his life will go. He's not going to stop it. He's not going to stop it. Daniel's not going to stop name calling women, but he will be stopped. That's for sure. But I'm not going to be the one to do it. The universe will handle him. I'm not getting no case behind him. I would be pissed off. I would be pissed off if I had to go to jail for 1 hour over Daniel and Elijah. I would be furious sitting in jail. So you have to maintain complete self-control. Daniel's refusing to stop it. He's running the streets. He stays out the house. Even with his bad energy, if Daniel stopped running the streets, he wouldn't get God as well. But he's giving the devil what the devil needs so that he will be assaulted. Once somebody seriously injures Daniel, if he survives it, that is when he'll stop calling me names. That is when it'll stop. Or if he just moves and doesn't stay here anymore. That's one of the things. That's why I don't want to keep any more kids, because kids now, like I didn't want to stay with my grandmother. So I got myself together and moved. Went to college, enrolled back in high school, got me a job, got married, had a few kids, got my credit score up, got baptized, saved, joined the church. Kids now don't do that. They have all this wicked nature, but they won't use that energy to move out your place. So you're kind of like stuck in limbo with these children. Calling me Norbit's wife, calling me the B word, pushing my dial down, calling me a reptile. None of that gets Daniel moved out. He sounds pretty miserable here. So what I would do is I would be taking care of my business and finding somewhere to go. That's what he could be doing. And he is miserable here. And it's not because my place is a miserable residence. That my place is a happy residence if you're off drugs and not an abuser. If you're off drugs and you're not an abuser, you're going to feel very peaceful in my residence. You will like it here. But if you are not compatible to my environment and you are a wicked natured project hood type degenerate, and I'm not talking about the good guys in the projects, not the hard workers, the basketball players that worked hard in their sport and got out, got their mothers out. A lot of their mothers were single mothers, and they got their mothers out the projects, moved their mothers in mansions. and stuff like that. I'm not talking about those project guys. The project guys that got out the projects that now own businesses that are bringing in minimum 20,000 a month. Not those project guys. Talking about the other ones. So this is more of the comparison of the wicked. I talked about the church, and hopefully, thanks for hanging in there with me, y'all, and giving me 5 likes. That helps. That helps more people view the video as well. I'm going to release this to the public. I have a doctor's appointment for my asthma and skin, y'all. I have eczema. So I'm going to be getting my dermatology referral and getting that all updated so I can continue to take care of my skin. One of the ways to beautiful skin is seeing a dermatologist, y'all, and fixing it and skincare, okay? And keeping hot water out of your face. I love y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is more of the comparison of the wicked. Thank you. Bye. If you have any questions, please ask now. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share the video and tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. Tune in for more right here. Thank you. Bye.